I remembered an incident when atheist organization had called me, and they said that on, I think, Bhagat Singh's birthday or death anniversary, something, that we are gathering there and then we are going to take a pledge and this and that and all that. So I said, I wrote a mail to them. I said that um, my definition, basically, I don't call myself, and that's what I wrote, that I don't call myself an atheist because there is an ism to it. And this proves, because you have selected a day, you have selected a personality in Bhagat Singh, you have selected a pledge. So you have done everything that an organized
Organized, yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
religion would do.
Yeah.
And you have gathered together to form a force. So it is completely against my definition of not following these man-made concepts.
I refused to join any club that would have me as a member. Groucho Marx, who was a actor and a radio artist and a stand-up comic, said, I think sometimes some people are good at so many things, so it's difficult to have them clubbed into just one club. Today we are talking to one such person, two-time National Award winner, film actor, NSD graduate, theater actor, also founder of Quest, an organization that works in the field of education and training, environmentalist, a social commentator, very keen political observer, and a freshly baked, out of the oven screenwriter of Lal Singh Chadda. Atul, myself Manish, welcome you to this series of that we call as Town Hall on Pashchim project. Usually we have live audience in town halls, but due to this geographical limitation, we have opted for this particular town hall. We have opted for the online version. I have admired you as an actor for a very long time, for your role as Sri Ram Abhyankar in Hey Ram, to the role of Tamasha artist Guna in Natrang, to the latest Bandish Bandits, that's a rage, to your role as a scheming politician in the City of Dreams. But I also know you as a person for the last 7-8 years. What many people may or may not know, that you're a voracious reader. And that's what connects us for this conversation with Pashchim Project. I think Kafka had said that a book must be an axe for the frozen seas within us. So I would like to start this conversation by asking you that which axe is breaking your frozen seas these days? What are you reading? And also, the second part of the conversation would be, what books have influenced you? Over to you, Atul.
Hi, Sunana. Hi, Manish. Hi. Thanks for having me. Thanks so much for this lovely introduction. I didn't know that I have so many things. Thanks for reminding me. To answer your question, it would be very difficult to name one or two books, so to say. But definitely, not only books, but people that you meet. Books, of course, have that format, but then you read things. There may be news articles by some people, news editorials, and because of nowadays Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, you get to read quotes, for example, of great people, even by some people who are largely unknown. So all these things, I think, shape you, and it is extremely essential, according to me, to keep your ears and eyes and mind open, because I very strongly believe that if you die as you had born, then that is not life. You have to be open enough to change, and you have to be flexible enough, as well as you have to be open enough to accept that you have changed, because that is a great hindrance, I think, because sometimes we realize that what we were thinking was probably not that right, but we do not accept that we have changed our thinking. And I think that's a great hindrance. And that's why even it goes with political ideologies as well. If I can't really fathom an idea that you have the same ideology right from your birth till you die. Uh, so yeah, I think that there have been a lot of access, and which have kind of broken me, which have made me. They have again broken me because you unlearn things and then you relearn things. So yes, and books definitely are one of the main factors of it.
I think last time that I met you, we had met for the film festival in Boston, but we were on a walk, and you gave me a 1 hour lecture on the hidden life of trees. I think that was a book.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We
Okay,
talked about
that's a
that
book
book.
by a German, Life of Trees. It's a book by a German author, but basically he's a
Wellen
forest
something his
officer.
name is. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it so often happens with me and all the people who are around me. They keep on teasing me that certain books they make a lot of impact on myself, and then I keep on propagating and talking about those books. तो ये लोग कहते हैं कि आजकल सिग्नल पे कौन सा बुक बेच रहा है आपको, तो जैसे वो सिग्नल पे बेचते हैं ना, कभी वो होता है, कभी पेशियंस होता है, तो कभी वाई वी स्लीप होता है, तो आई कीप ऑन डूइंग दिस, बट या I try and break others also with that act to keep your analogy going.
Yeah, because I had not heard of that book until you talked about it, and I found that fascinating.
Just a moment. Sorry, something started which I had kept on mute. Yeah, great.
So yeah, I was just saying that I had not until I met you and we talked about that book. I had not heard of that book and this whole concept of how trees are connected to each other. So it's especially when we meet an actor, we are primarily expecting them to talk about that's a kind of a generalization from viewer's side as well. We don't think there's more to them than what we see on screen. So that is kind of a refreshing change that most of the times when I met you, like even when we met before that, we were primarily talking about Guru Shishya Parampara, then we talked about marriage, then we talked about other things, which the role of education, but we never talked about films that much. So that has been very fascinating aspect of your personality. And I'm sure there are other actors as well. So yeah, so that's probably one of the things that I remember about you is your books have influenced you, and probably the characters that you've read also influence your acting phase, which I think Manish is a very big film buff, and I would like him to take the conversation further on that.
Yes, thank you, Sunaina. Atul ji, first of all, बहुत बहुत बधाइयाँ आपको. Many congratulations on the movie. We did watch it, and I was pleasantly surprised. And the reason being, Forrest Gump, जब मैं US आया था first in 2006, that was one of the first movies I watched on a DVD when I first landed in the US. उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि वो मेमोरी से ना थोड़ा सा फेड हो जाता ना, when you don't get into that and then it gets faded from your memory. And when the buzz started about Lal Singh Chaddha, I think several years ago, and then your name popped up, that you are going to write it, and you are actually the script writer, story, dialogues, everything. I was kind of surprised because I remembered you from Hey Ram, and then my very first Marathi movie, Natrang. I was thinking, from a actor's perspective and the author, and then a movie like Forrest Gump, how you are going to adapt, what is going to be the events in your mind and all that. I mean, I started thinking, because I kind of a small time writer myself, I started thinking from that perspective. And then recently, I was going through some of your interviews, and one thing which stood out in my mind was um, when you told that you wrote, that was your first and only film script so far, and you wrote it in 10 days, and then next 2-3 days you did the second draft, and then you took it to Amir and you said, that was your first time you ever used that sentence, that that I have written a script, or I have a script. And I started, and that connected me very personally, because I started something 7 years ago. I wrote 30 scenes and I gave up. I gave up. And my question to you is that how could you just finish a script like Lal Singh Chadda, adaptation like Forrest Gump, being an actor? I mean, what made you to finish? I mean, where am I lacking? I mean, can you think of something where, or you can guess something, where am I lacking? What made me not to, finish it?
Well,
So I want to see your.
answer lies right in what you were saying, that this is the only script that I have written in last 12 years. So, so no, writing, I think, is a extremely difficult process. It is not at all an easy process, and it requires a lot of persistence, and you are creating something out of nothing almost. Not in the case of Lal Singh Chadda necessarily, but generally I am saying that you create things out of nothing. So there is no kind of a definite answer to this. If there would have been an answer to this, probably would have seen many more writers. So there is no particular answer to it. And as you also mentioned, that I didn't know that I was actually, I would rather actually finish writing a script. I didn't know that. But it so happened that, I kept on writing, and it kind of fell through in a nice manner. And I actually completed it. So it kind of, happened, so to say. Of course, I know that it is not as easy, and it say that it happened, I don't know, and all that. I know that it is not entirely true. Of course, there is process of many years behind that, as to what you're reading, what you're interested in, and what you're attempting, and everything else. Though I have written a lot of articles for Marathi newspapers, English newspapers, and so I kind of understand what you are saying, that जो ब्लॉग बोलते हैं उसको, राइटर्स ब्लॉग, जो शायद किसी किसी को पहले सीन के पहले ही आ जाता है, किसी को 30वें सीन के बाद आ जाता है, तो वो कुछ ये नहीं है. बट आई थिंक दैट, एज आई सेड, दैट परसिस्टेंस शुड बी देयर. गुलजार साहब का हमेशा मैं जिक्र करता हूँ इस बारे में, कि वो ऑफिस जैसी ड्यूटी होती है ना, वैसे वो 9 बजे मैंने सुना है कि ऑफिस चले जाते हैं और लिखना शुरू कर देते हैं. तो मेरे ख्याल से ये जो डिसिप्लिन होता है ना, क्योंकि ये हमें लगता है कि नहीं, जब इंस्पिरेशन आएगा, जब मेरे दिमाग में आएगा, तब मैं लिखूंगा. नो, आई थिंक समटाइम्स इट इज द अदर वे अराउंड. एंड इवन माय लाल सिंह चड्ढा एक्सपीरियंस इज दैट यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग. You are not kind of writing a final draft in the beginning. You're just writing. It is not something to be published, but you keep on writing, and then I think वो एक चैनल बन जाता है, and उसमें से कभी अच्छा आएगा, कभी बुरा आएगा, वो अलग बात है. But that consistency and that effort to actually sit and start writing, doing that action, I think that is very important. Action of writing. What you write, वो बात की बात है. But I think that is extremely important. Sometimes, I don't know, I just thought that probably you are copying something that you have liked, but you write. Right. There is probably a book and a page or a paragraph that you love from a particular book, and just imagine, I'm talking as I'm thinking, that I'm just writing the lines, and it's a process, you see, and it's an action. that I just said. So it's a passive action, but it's an action. And you're writing, and probably those lines when you write, they reflect something else than what when you are just reading. So even probably that could be a good exercise. And then you might add your lines, couple of lines to that paragraph. I don't know. But
Yeah,
that action is very important according to me.
yeah,
Please tell right.
this small segment of this whole town hall is going to be the master class for many of budding writers who are no,
Far
I'll tell
from
you
it.
why. I'll tell you why. It is coming from a person's perspective whose full-time job is not writing.
Writing.
Writing. That's
So
true. Yeah.
people like us, like me, Sunaina is more into writing than me. Um, but it is. I mean, this was wonderful. I mean, I think this is going to help a lot of people, and that's the whole idea about this conversation. Thank you
Also, I
so much.
think, I think, Atul, as you said, that when you write, probably when you read, the number of senses that are engaged in the activity versus when you write, more number of your, senses are engaged. I guess that there is something to biological to that. We'll probably know later at some point. But I think Elizabeth Hurley, who has written Eat, Pray, and Love, in one of her talks, she had said exactly what you said right now, that she shows up at work every day, whether the muse or her inspiration shows up,
Mhm.
she doesn't care about that. And that kind of is exactly what you said. I know you were kind of thinking right now that what is it that makes a writer, and probably, but you nailed it. As Manish said, this would be something that
See,
would be very
writing is an art which helps laziness. Acting is something, though I am lazy or I could be lazy and all that, but once I sign a film, I have to go on the set at a particular time and I have to shoot. You know, when you are writing independently and when it is not committed kind of a writing, or when you are not writing professionally, when you have to write columns for newspapers and all that, then it kind of takes a lot to get up and write. I think it helps laziness quite a lot.
Hmm.
One thing. Yeah.
Atul, you were talking about, just now you said, writing versus acting, and how these professions could be different. I want to go a little bit back in your life when you had joined NSD. I know you were doing engineering, and then you left that halfway and you went to NSD. Then, how do you think that training at NSD has uh, helped in your skills? Because many actors are, they may not be that trained in NSD or other places, they just are natural actors, they learn on the job. So how do you see this difference of a trained actor versus someone who may not be trained in institution? And the second part of that question is that, do you see your role in, Manish talked about his first ever Marathi movie, Natrang. The role of Guna, I'm very interested. I want to spend some time on that role, probably second part of this question. But the first is that, how do you see these institutions helping the craft of acting?
I think usually we make a mistake of categorizing into trained and who is not trained. But I don't think that is correct. We have to categorize between the trained or whoever, between the actors, formally trained and informally trained. So what do I exactly mean is that formally trained is very obvious. You go to some school and get your degrees or go to classes and all that. That's formal thing. But informal training is what when you are watching things, when you are reading things, you know, when you are trying to do something. So there is a lot of informal training that goes in one's life of an actor. So that also should be considered according to me. Not that you learn everything on the job necessarily. When you are not on the job, and that is not really, of course you learn when you are working, but you can't be spending someone else's money just to learn from the scratch. Because there is especially cinema is a very expensive medium. So I think that is not true, and people may not accept that they are trained, but most of them are informally trained when they see certain things time and again, right? कि मैंने ये फिल्म ना 20 बार देखी. क्यों देखी भाई? स्टोरी तो पहले व्यूइंग में पता चली थी, तो क्यों देखी आपने? पर किया क्या आपने? आपने ट्रेन किया खुद अलग अलग चीजों के लिए. और जब आप देख रहे हो इतनी बार, देन व्हाट यू आर लुकिंग एट द कैमरा, आपका वो स्टोरी का ये निकल गया. You know the story now, so you start looking at other things, and this is the informal training. So I think people do that all the time, and it's fine. I mean, those who don't get to go for formal training, they get their training like this. So, yeah.
So second part of that question was because in Natrang, you're playing the role of Guna, and one of my favorite roles of which you have done, especially because of the transformation that character goes through. It's very gut wrenching, but it's also something that you may have seen. We are we have both connection to Maharashtra. Tamasha artists की life पे इतनी फिल्में बनी, and we know this happens. I just wanted to understand what was the process in that role? What were your inspirations? Did your you do theater as well? Did that play a part? I just wanted to you to kind of let us in on that role, especially.
Natrang was based on a novel by the same name. So when you have a novel, you have a lot of material with you as an actor, which helps you. So it started with that, I would say, because you have an entire novel. So you start with that. You have a lot of information about it. And then, of course, as you said, it is based on Tamasha format. So you have so many films, you have so many books, so many incidences that you have heard and all that. So there is no dearth of information and exposure as far as that format is concerned, as far as the actors who used to act in those kind of format is concerned. So all that is there. And then, of course, you have your script in front of you, your film script. And I've realized that guides you. Once you keep on reading the script time and again, it guides you how you want to prepare for a role. And I don't think that there is only one way of preparing for a character. No, every film, but once you read the script, it dictates you as to how you should prepare for or how you should approach that role, basically. As far as Natrang is concerned, usually the most common or most famous way of preparing for a character is from inside out, as to you understand that person from inside, and then you kind of think about the outer things like physicality, costumes, this, that, and all that. For Natrang, I think the physical demand was such that my journey was kind of opposite. I put on 17, 18 kgs. I became like a wrestler. And in that process, and when I saw myself, when I was watching myself in the mirror, I could see a changed personality in front of me physically first. And I won't say that there was a point where exactly I shifted to the internal thing. It's a process. At some point when you're doing that physical thing, and which was a long 3-month process. So, during that process, somewhere at some point, I must have started thinking internally about that character and all that. And it was changing physically, in front of my eyes. I was changing. So all that basically helped. Because of the physique, my walk changed, and naturally all those things do matter. So for Natrang, it was from outside to inside as far as the preparation or the character preparation goes. Same thing in the second half, because I reduced weight and I was watching every day, and I looked like a completely different person to me. And then I was learning dancing and all that. So it was a different kind of a external journey for me. So for Natrang, it was that. It was from outside towards inside.
Okay.
And then, of course, understanding the character, the nuances according to story and all. Yeah.
Yeah, because that movie in the character, when you're wrestler तो काफी प्रशंसा है, like when you are going as a tamasha person उसमें तिरस्कार भी है, so all of that, somewhere reflected in your body language, which I found was really amazing. I also liked you in the City of Dreams as a politician, but I think we'll get to that later. Manish, you want to take the conversation further?
Yeah. So I mean, as I said earlier, that this was my first Marathi movie and one of the most favorite works of Atulji. I would take a little bit again towards the language literature. So what I wonder is, Atul, you come from a Marathi speaking region, and then you did your work in Heram. Then that was, then you did Chandni Bar, a different, how you switch. And I was before Sunana joined, I was also talking about your wife. I'm a huge fan, and the reason, one reason being the way she picked up the local dialect of Awadh belt. I come from Awadh region, Lucknow, Kanpur, Sitapur, Lakhimpur, Bahraich. I mean, that belt, and the way she picked up that local dialect was amazing. It was like spot on. So
Yeah.
how an actor picks up, I mean, acting is one thing, language picking from Marathi to Hindi is one thing, but picking up that niche of that local dialect, that's something and we are also kind of in the same I would say platform, that's what we are trying to do. When in the US or anywhere in outside India, when you have mixed culture of languages, you propagate language in a different way. How, what we are trying to do through Pashchim project is, we are bringing languages, even dialects, in a different way. So how, what is the process? How do you get to learn or get into that particular core of the dialect of one particular language?
I think we say that we speak that language, but that is not where the process starts. The process starts when you hear it.
Hear it.
That is where it starts. Even when as children we learn languages, it starts here in the ear, not in your tongue. So I think having sensitive ear is the basic requirement of kind of I won't say learning a dialect, but faking a dialect professionally. So even if I learn a dialect, or if whenever Gitanjali has learned the dialect, if you suddenly ask her to speak like that, generally she won't be able to naturally, because that is something that you have practiced with particular dialogues and all that. And that's where I think it starts with your ears. And sometimes you have your memories where you have subconsciously or unconsciously you have heard things and they are in your brain. But then when it comes to a role, then you kind of consciously do efforts. You are with, like I know for a fact that for Gullak Gitanjali, the person who wrote Gullak, he is from the region and he used to give her reading and all that. And she picked up mainly from him, the dialect. So when we say picked up, it is job of the ears and your brain rather than your tongue.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think that is where it all starts. And we get attracted to certain languages because of the phonetics, because of whatever, the
Sounds.
ups and downs and musicality of it, or the lack of it, whatever, So we get attracted by, because of the sound of a particular language. And that is how we kind of differentiate between the languages. So I think training your ear is the main thing.
Thank you.
Atul, I wanted to talk a little bit. Earlier in your introduction, I talked about theater, and I know you are involved in theater. I wanted to probably it's a cliched question, but I'll still ask it. Is that what, as an actor, are they? How does this different these different forms, like in films versus theater, how do they? What kind of need as an actor is met through theater, and what kind of need is met through cinema? How do you differentiate these different forms?
Well, I have not done, a fresh play in maybe last 15, 20 years.
Okay.
So I'm not into theater much. We used to do Kharashe, Gulzar
Right.
Saab ka, but Kharashe
Salim
we,
Saab and yeah.
Salim Saab and yeah. So, but Kharashe we did for 10, 12 years, I guess, but we used to do one or two shows a year later on. First couple of years, we did a lot of shows, 2, 3 years, but then one or two. So I'm not really into theater now.
Okay.
I cannot and would not call myself a theater actor. However, having done that before, I think that as far as preparation of the character goes, it is the same. That there is not much of a difference between the two formats. The technology is the main difference between theater and cinema. Because cinema, there is completely this modern technology of camera, and now much more like many other things that they have come up. So in cinema, I have always believed that even though you are just an actor, you should be aware about the basics of all other verticals of cinema, of editing, of lighting, of camera, of direction, of background music. So it is not that you should be expert of it. Of course, one will not be, but one should be conscious of it. Because in films, you are doing exactly the opposite to theater. Because theater, you are doing it linearly, whatever the script is. So once you start and you finish it, in the linear manner, linear in the sense of the script. The script might go to and fro, but still, as a writing, it is linear. That's what I mean. So, in cinema, you never know which scene you would do first and which later and all that. And this is where the graph of the character comes in play. That it should be in your mind. Number one. Number two, you should be aware about the imagination needs to be much more. You should be able to see the final edit roughly in your mind. ये शॉट कहाँ से कहाँ हो सकता है, कहाँ जा सकता है, क्या हो सकता है, इससे पहले क्या हुआ, बाद में क्या हुआ, and all that. And that, I think, is one of the many factors that a theater actor and a film actor, they need to be conscious about. Second, of course, is the camera, because it is again exactly the opposite. Your audience is stationary in theater, and here your audience can come anywhere. It can just come and see only one eye of yours to maybe 1,000 people, and after edit, it can happen within 1 second that your audience is moving from, say, 2 feet to 200 feet away from you. So all these things plus other technicalities, as I said, sound would be different that you would be using in theater and in cinema and all that. So it is about learning the technology as far as cinema is concerned. And I don't think it is that difficult once you're conscious about the medium.
So one thing I was, noticing during the whole conversation is that Atul, you are a very good speaker. I mean, you just came unprepared, and we started throwing some questions. And I mean, that's, to be very honest, everyone cannot, even if they are actor or they are, whatever, they cannot just start talking so precisely on these topics, subjects. So you are a very good, everyone knows you are a good actor, writer. You are a good speaker as well. That's, I just learned. One thing I also noticed, there is some kind of philosophy in your approach. Is there any philosophy you follow? Is there any kind of a power which you believe in, or what it is? I mean, how that philosophy comes to you? Is there anything, any methodology or any you follow, or
One very important philosophy that I follow is don't follow a single philosophy. Uh, that's extremely essential, I think, because you keep on growing, you keep on learning things.
Mhm.
And I think that the people who stick to any one idea, they are kind of harming themselves
Mhm.
because you keep on changing. There is nothing against any idea, but it's not necessary that the the stage that you are in, you necessarily take the correct gist of that particular thing. Um, uh, as far as the other word that you used, par, no, I absolutely do not follow any man-made concepts like God or religion or caste or rituals. I do not follow these. I don't even call myself atheist because there is ism involved in that.
Yeah.
And when you say there is ism, then there comes
Yeah,
just
you follow something.
yeah, you follow something. I just read today a news that Javed Saab will be felicitated by atheist organization. I just read that news today. And I remembered an incident when atheist organization had called me and they said that on, I think, Bhagat Singh's birthday or death anniversary, something that we are gathering there and then we are going to take a pledge and this and that and all that. So I said, I wrote a mail to them. I said that um, my definition, basically, I don't call myself, and that's what I wrote, that I don't call myself an atheist because there is an ism to it. And this proves, because you have selected a day, you have selected a personality in Bhagat Singh, you have selected a pledge. So you have done everything that an organized
Organized. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
religion would do.
Yeah.
And you have gathered together to form a force. So it is completely against my definition of not following these man-made concepts. So no, I do not follow any power or whatever. But yes, I think there are great thinkers. We have had great thinkers in all over the world uh, in our human race, and they have said great many things. They have experienced great many things, and many of them they differ from each other, which is a beautiful thing. If all the philosophers, would have uh, talked about the same path and same principles and same thing, then the life would have been. I mean, there wouldn't have been philosophers because there wouldn't have been any need of philosophers.
Mm.
The need of so many philosophers basically comes across because of the questions that we ask about the meaning of human life. And I think it is very simple. I believe that the two certain things that are there in human life, which is death, that is certain, and you are going to deteriorate physically and mentally and emotionally and then die. These two things are completely, I mean, those are the most definite things. Everything else can change in the world, but this cannot change. That you are going to die and that you are going to deteriorate and die. And then naturally the question arises that uh, the third thing, of course, is you will not know when you will die. So then naturally the question starts that if I don't know when the death is and when I don't know what will happen after the death, then what is the meaning of this moment, for example, or what is going to happen till I die?
Yeah.
So I think that is the very, very basic thing from where all the philosophies have started questioning and trying to find answers and trying to find meanings. And so I think uh, that is why there are different ways, because there is no definite answer, known answer to human beings. And that is why, and there cannot be, because we are not one. We are completely different from each other. Not only that, if you look at me, say, maybe 5 years before, then I probably was a different person, may not be completely different person, but there was some difference in me. And it is true with everyone. So not only that we are different people, but we ourselves keep on changing. if we are open enough and wise enough. So I think there cannot be an answer. So a single answer, I mean. But yeah, I have had this inclination towards reading what other people think about life, what other people, kind of analyze uh, how we should be, what we should be, what is, what was, and all that. I was always quite interested in that, and that's why I have kept, a kind of one finger on that package.
Yeah, I think Vivekananda said that I don't know the exact quote, but to the point that truth can be stated in 100,000 ways, and all of those can be truth as well. So,
No, that many people have said this. I mean, this is
right,
such a basic truth that yeah, this so many people have
right.
kept on saying it. So it is true. I mean, there is no one way.
Also, I wanted to probably a little bit talk about. You said earlier that in your earlier question, you said that what you were 5 years back, you are not that anymore, and I think that's true for all of us. What, with reference to Lal Singh Chadha, I would want to ask you that question is that through the process of writing and even you were involved in the making of the film, what were some of the learnings that you probably didn't know before as an actor, but now as a writer and being involved in the film? What were some of the learnings? If you can share anything on that, that would help.
No, it was completely different because I was wearing completely different shoes. And to come, I mean, basically to write it and then go through that entire process of getting the permission for 10 years, we didn't get the rights and all that. And then, of course, we started making the film. Then COVID hit. So it faced, a lot of things. But there was a learning, basically from the man called Amir Khan, because the way he persisted and the way he, it is not easy to be after a thing for 12 years and give 4 years of your life in making that thing, you know. And I have always said this about Amir, that I know him for many years now, and I've met him, hundreds, thousands of times. But every time you meet him and you get out of that meeting, his house or office or wherever, shoot, you learn something, some small thing you learn from that man. And I think he is an extremely special human being. Um, and in the entire process of Lal Singh Chadha, what I was most happy about, that because of that, I got to spend more time with Amir.
Manish, you
Wonderful.
have a question?
There are, I think, the way this conversation is going, I think we can we can keep on
Talk
going
forever.
forever.
Talk forever.
A lot of interesting thing. Just one small question I had, and that again, it comes to the creative aspect of a person, and how the result of it. So as a creative person, when you bring a project, whether it is a painting or it's a art or a story or a script or a movie or your role you're playing in a movie and things like that, and when you have put in so much, and when that can or that is like belittled by people, or उसका एक उतना अप्रिसिएशन नहीं होता है, या उसको थोड़ा सा छोटा कर दिया जाता है, या ओवर क्रिटिसिज्म हो जाता है, या कुछ भी ऐसी ऐसी किसी चीज, does it impact the creative, the originator, or that person who has brought that creative product, which is actually for the display? That product is for the display, and then that product gets belittled, उसको छोटा कर दिया, उसको थोड़ा सा ओवर क्रिटिसाइज कर दिया जाता है. वो इम्पैक्ट होता है, पड़ता है, या you just move on?
I can only, of course, answer about myself. It must be affecting differently to different people. But, I kind of learned this business very early. business of cinema, so to say, or business of art. And that learning, of course, is that you cannot get so much involved in what people say. You are saying that it is, kind of criticized, or it's made small and all that. But exactly the opposite thing can happen to a completely mediocre thing. It could be praised and you could become a star and all that. And within yourself, you would probably know, okay, अरे नहीं इतना तो कुछ क्या था, ये क्या हो गया. दोनों तरफ से हो सकता है. And having that detachment, I think, is extremely essential as far as especially films are concerned, because they're huge. That form of art is so, it reaches people so much, it impacts people so much and so widely. We are talking here, and I'm sure that there are at least 10 films of mine which are being watched by some people somewhere in the world, right at this moment. So that format has this kind of reach, and so the stakes are more both ways. This format makes you a big star. This format, gives you that feeling कि यार इतनी मेहनत की थी, and मतलब किसी ने सराहना तो छोड़ ही दो, देखा भी नहीं जाके. तो ये भी हो सकता है, but I think this is part of this business. And मैं हमेशा ये कहता हूँ, जब ये कोई भी नए लोग जो आते हैं इस इंडस्ट्री में और वो पूछते हैं, तो मैं कहता हूँ कि भैया एक्टिंग अगर है, समझ लो हमने एक्टिंग की बात करते हैं, तो एक्टिंग करना अच्छी लगना, अच्छी लगना, एक्टिंग आना और एक्टिंग का धंधा करना, ये 3 अलग चीजें हैं. और ये जो 3 चीजें हैं, उनका एक दूसरे से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है. मतलब आपको भले एक्टिंग बहुत अच्छी लगती हो, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपको एक्टिंग आती हो. आप बहुत अच्छे एक्टर हो, लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपको एक्टिंग का बिजनेस आता हो. आप बहुत ही खराब एक्टर हो, लेकिन आपको एक्टिंग का बिजनेस बहुत अच्छा आता हो. तो ये, और इसमें से कोई किसी को नीचा दिखाने की बात नहीं है, बिकॉज द बिजनेस ऑफ एक्टिंग इज extremely important, especially in films, because it is the most expensive art. And that's why that is also very important. So I think the answer to your question is that is part and parcel of this business. Not that it doesn't affect you, it does, but then to what extent and to how much, I think that is the key question. हाँ, ऑफ कोर्स ऐसा नहीं है कि आप ध्यान ही नहीं दे रहे हो, चाहे वो सक्सेस हो चाहे वो फेल्यूर हो, आप ध्यान दे रहे हो, उसको पचा रहे हो और निकल के जा रहे हो. तो आई थिंक दैट इज द की.
I think when you're talking about that, I remembered a quote which I had used in your interview when I had published it, that I think it was Clint Eastwood was talking to Alfred Hitchcock about his films, and he was getting into too many details. I think after a while, Hitchcock got tired and he said, Clint, it is just a film. It is just a film. So, having said that, we have a lot of people who follow our channel, or they're actors, they're writers, and they're all aspiring. There are aspiring actors and writers too. I know you said that these are different. There's no general philosophy, and then you can be trained by life. You can be trained by watching movies. You can also be formally trained. But still, if it is possible for you to just give us a little bit of format of like a framework for people who are listening or who will watch this town hall, what if they have to start in this field, or what kind of what do you recommend, what books would you recommend to start with, or what movies would you recommend at this point? What is coming to your mind? What would you recommend that they should do to begin with, and then probably take their path as it comes to them?
Each and everything. Every movie should be watched. Every book should be watched. As I said, I always say that there are method. कहते हैं ना कि एक्टिंग की ये मेथड है वो. I think there are as many methods as many actors in this world. And because we are different personalities, We are different. And in acting, you are the instrument, meaning your body and your brain and your mind and your decision making, your choices, that is your product. And we being different personalities, there would be so many methods of acting. And so I think nothing should be discarded. Everything should be watched, should be read, should be seen. So that is one part as far as taking in is concerned, because when you are creating art, you are giving out something. But if you keep on only giving out, then it is of no use. You have to keep on taking in different forms and formats. So that is very important. And the second most important thing is, like what we were saying in writing, it is also true in action, that you have to keep on doing it in some form or the other, and it is one of the most difficult professions in the world. If you want to be a freelance actor or writer or a director in films, it is one of the most, uncertain fields, most difficult field. So not necessarily that you'll get your professional jobs right away and all that, but still, doing the things, practicing with maybe amateur plays, maybe one act, solo performances or whatever, reading, whatever. But I think that practice is essential, I think. And these days it has become easier because of your phones and cameras to the phones. Then you can, edit yourself, you can add music, you can literally make a film on your own, on your laptop. And then not only you can make it, you can publish it, you can kind of release it for the world to watch. So it has become easier now than what it was when I started out. We had only theater, that was the most accessible thing. But now this also is possible. So I think one needs to take advantage of these modern things. Again, if we come back to training, informal training, so much accessibility is there now. So many actors talk about things. There are, I am sure, acting courses, online acting courses or master classes and all that. So much of material is available in abundance, even for training yourself, even for exposure. So I think these days it has become much more easier to get that exposure.
Yeah, I think this is about any other like any other business or skill you have. If you want to pursue that, I mean, you keep honing that skill. And as you said, in today's time, it has become easier to work on those skills, and you have different tools and resources available to hone that skin that skill.
Yeah. True.
Let me just quickly rephrase the question a little, because I wanted to get something out of you which I didn't. What was the last movie that you saw that you remember right now that kind of moved you, or something that you want, kind of stayed with you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't remember right now offhand, but I am recently watching this prequel of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, me
House
too.
of Dragons.
Me too.
The Dragon, yeah. So I'm quite impressed again with the writing of it, especially because the technique of writing, of course, and I think it is same kind of story, but it is so interestingly told that I was quite, quite impressed with it.
One thing I noticed there is that the way they are giving, slowly the future references of Game of Thrones. That's quite amazing. I mean, they started like a fresh spin-off, but then they slowly started giving the references in the whole process. That was quite amazing.
Yeah. No, very well. And the technical, I mean, the the format, because the web show needs a certain kind of writing technically,
Right.
and yeah, they have become masters of that.
Manishu, what is the last question that you want to ask?
You just asked that question, and he answered it so well, and I'm so glad that he's also a Game of Thrones fan. Atul, if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know,
that I feel that, yeah, that is one of the best shows,
yeah.
Game of Thrones and the Breaking Bad. These two shows I love. Yeah.
I just a quick, there was, I think, few years back when the season 7 was released. I found so their dialogues are very like it's like very famous dialogues they have, those one-liners, and
Quotable
yeah,
dialogues. Yeah.
somebody came up with an idea with the the Bihari version of those dialogues. It was amazing. It was mind blowing. And somebody again came up with the shades, like they will have like the important events, and each important event, it was like a meme, and each important event will have a share of a famous shire which will
Oh,
kind of
interesting.
go. And my heart was full because a poetry lover, a language lover, and the Game of Thrones lover. I mean,
It all come together for you.
it all came together. Yeah.
That is what I think great creations do. They travel across,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and they keep on inspiring you to do things. That is what they do. I mean, that's what they do. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Atul. When are we going to see
Thank
you
you.
next in what?
Yeah.
And that's the parting question.
Well, I'm actually shooting for three things right now.
Okay.
City of Dreams season 3.
Okay.
That would come soon. I'm shooting for it right now,
Okay.
and I'm doing two fresh shows. One with Rohan Sippy and Pankaj.
Oh,
So Pankaj Mishra. So that's a comedy. That's a sitcom.
okay.
That would be coming, and another comedy show that I'm doing for Amazon, which is created by the creators of Sarabhai versus Sarabhai, Atish Kapadia and Cherry.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
okay.
So
Wonderful.
yeah, so that should come soon. So these are the 2-3 things that I'm working on right now.
Yeah. So before we conclude, just one request, Atul, we would like to see you sometime in Boston, and we want to repeat of this town hall in person.
Yeah,
In person, yeah.
sure.
Atul has been to Boston, and last time he was here for the film festival for Gulmakai, and we'd like to see you again. And whenever that happens, looking forward to that. Thank you so much,
Sure.
Atul.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Atul.
Thank you, Cinema. Thanks.